Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 30th of July 2023. So today we are going to cover many important articles from the Hindu newspaper that is important for the prelims exam and also for the mains exam. So with this, let us see the list of topics that we are going to cover in today's discussion. So there are 5 topics that I have listed over here, right? The topics along with their relevance and also page number is mentioned over here. And also we have 5 more topics, right, that we are going to cover. And at last we are going to cover many short topics that are important from the science and technology point of view for the prelims exam. So in all there will be, let's say, more than 11 topics in today's discussion. Okay. So let us start the discussion of the newspaper today. So this topic says, along with Japan and India, China can join debt relief efforts for Sri Lanka. It was said by the Finance Minister of India, Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman. Okay. So this topic is very important. Why it is important? Because this talks about the kind of relationship that India shares with Sri Lanka. Because India has come forward as one of the good neighbors of Sri Lanka in times of distress. Right, so Sri Lanka is in a kind of economic distress at this point of time. Why they are in economic distress? Because like their source of earning is very limited, right? One of the source of earning for them is fishing activity, and other source of earning for them is tourism. And because of the limited source of earning for Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka is facing debt crisis at this point of time. Debt crisis means it has borrowed from other countries and now it is not in a position to repay them. And this has led to rippling effect in Sri Lankan economy. And Sri Lanka has also approached the International Monetary Fund for seeking financial assistance from them. And India being one of the, let's say, good neighbors for Sri Lanka, India has come forward to support Sri Lanka, and in such a manner that, like, investors from India are, let's say, like, assisted by the government, that, like, you can go ahead and fund Sri Lanka in certain projects, right? And so in this endeavor, in this direction, the Finance Minister of India has also urged China to support and help Sri Lanka. Why China? Because, like, China has been one of the big economies that has invested in many countries across the world. And apart from China, right, there are other countries also that can come forward and support, right? So Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman, while making a statement related to this, she has talked that, like, Japan and India has come forward, right? These two countries have come forward to support Sri Lanka in its debt relief efforts, right? And also she has quoted that presently Japan acts as the president of G7. G7 means group of 7 nations, right? Group of 7 industrialized or developed nations. So she has made a statement in support or in solidarity with Sri Lanka. She wants that, like, India is supporting Sri Lanka, no doubt, but she has also spoken, right, for China to support Sri Lanka. So this is a topic which is related to international relations, and it showcases India's efforts towards its neighboring countries. And as part of, let's say, like, as part of international relations, you can read it as bilateral, regional and global groupings, or, like, India and its neighborhood relations. So this is related with that one. So along with this, we are going to move to another topic. This is topic number 2 for the day. And in this topic, we are going to talk about tiger census in India. Okay, census means an exercise, right, conducted by certain departments to ascertain the population of tiger. So tiger census is conducted in India every 4 years, right? It is conducted once every 4 years. Okay. So tiger census is conducted once every 4 years. And if I talk about why tiger census has been conducted, because, like, India has the largest population of tiger in the world. We have around 80% of the world's tiger in India. Okay, we have around 80% of the global tiger population in India, right? So let us discuss about this topic. It says India's tiger population goes up. MP has the most big cats. Tigers are also referred to as big cats, right? And Madhya Pradesh has the largest number of tiger among states in India. So tiger numbers increased in these states like Uttarakhand, Madhya Pradesh and Maharashtra. And there were some localized decline also, like there have been some decline in the tiger population in some of the states. That includes the state of Mizoram, Nagaland, Jharkhand, Goa, Chhattisgarh and Arunachal Pradesh, right? So here in this article they have showcased like how the tiger population has consistently increased over the past. And the graph that you can see over here, in this graph they have, let's say they have showcased that in 2006 we had 1411 tigers, and in 2010 around 300 tigers increased. So like 1706 tigers were let's say like was the number of tiger population in India. Then in 2014 we had 2226 tigers. In 2018 it is 2967 tigers. As of now, according to 2022 census, India has 3682 tigers, right? So the tiger numbers have been consistently going up in India across various regions. And in this article they have highlighted about the reason of increase in tiger population, and also they have mentioned about the reason, right, of decline of tiger population in certain states. So here in this article the author has talked about the tiger population has declined in some of these states because they did not work properly to increase the prey base for tigers. Those areas where the prey base of tiger was high, where there was more likelihood of a tiger of getting its prey, right, for food, so there the tiger population has increased. However, it has declined in some other areas. And related to tiger, we have Project Tiger in India. Which project? We have a project which is known as Project Tiger in India. This Project Tiger is, let's say, one of the flagship program for conservation of tiger in India. And this Project Tiger is looked after by National Tiger Conservation Authority in India. We have a body which is known as NTCA, which means National Tiger Conservation Authority. So this authority looks after the let's say like welfare and conservation efforts for tigers. And this tiger population was, let's say like data were released by the Wildlife Institute of India, right? So Wildlife Institute of India has released data related to tiger population in India. And as I already said, that the tiger census is conducted once every 4 years in India. This is known as quadrennial tiger census. This is known as quadrennial tiger census in India, right? So with this, let us move ahead and let us see the next topic. Okay, let us see the next topic now. Okay, so this topic is also very important. This topic is related to national education policy. Okay, so the topic is related to National Education Policy 2020. So you might be knowing that Government of India has come up with a National Education Policy in 2020, and this year we have marked 3 years of completion of the National Education Policy, right? 3 years of completion of National Education Policy. So on this occasion, the Prime Minister of India has let's say like met with those officials who were involved, right, into the implementation of National Education Policy. He has interacted with professors, he has interacted with the students as well, and he has talked about the importance of mother tongue, right? The importance of mother tongue in education. Okay, importance of mother tongue in education. So he has talked about that earlier we used to believe that Indian languages are let's say like they do not have proper scripts, and these languages were not being promoted for even let's say primary level education, right? But now the Government of India has started giving renewed effort to promote Indian languages, not only in, let's say, like, primary schooling level, but also in higher educational level. For example, in research and development fields, in engineering, in medicine, right? We have started promoting Indian languages. So that's why the Prime Minister of India has said that the education in mother tongue will do the justice to students, because those students who learn the subjects in mother tongue in their early childhood, they tend to retain more information, they tend to learn more, and they tend to develop more confidence, right, in themselves. So the Prime Minister of India has said that, like, it is the national education policy strives to provide a level playing field for all the students across the country, whether they are located in South India or in North India or in Central India or in eastern side of India or in western side of India, right? So he has said that the education in the mother tongue, education in the vulnerable languages, right, in various regions in India will provide a level playing field to all the students, and this will also boost confidence among the students. And the government of India is also taking certain efforts to promote education in mother tongue, and in that direction the national education policy in 2020 has come up with detailed, right, let's say detailed analysis of let's say, like, role that is played by mother tongue in schooling programs. So Govind has joined us. Good evening, Govind. So thank you so much for joining, and we are discussing the Hindu newspaper today, and we have so far covered 2 topics, right, and we are going to cover the 3rd topic now. 2 or 3 topics have been covered, so next topic will be on. So we are going to understand this topic. This is important under science and technology section. Alright, so let us read the heading of this topic. It says, scientists' toughest experiment, sourcing quality products from government e-marketplace. So this topic can be considered as important for science and technology, and also it is important for economy section. Okay, it is important for Indian economy. Let us understand how. Okay, so let's say, cover this topic through notes. Okay. Name of the topic, scientist's toughest experiment. Scientist toughest experiment, and they talk about procuring good material from government e-marketplace. Okay, so let us understand about this. So we are going to understand about GEM in short, government e-marketplace. So let us understand this thing. Recently the government of India has launched, okay, National Research Foundation Bill. Okay, so government of India has come up with National Research Foundation Bill 2023. Okay, so what is this National Research Foundation Bill? What is this NRF bill? See, through the National Research Foundation Bill, they want to set up a body. This body will be known as National Research Foundation. Okay, this is known as National Research Foundation. Government of India wants to set up this particular body, which is known as National Research Foundation. What will be the role of this particular body? This National Research Foundation will promote research and development in India, right? How it will promote, right? How it will promote, what role it will play? It is going to bring together, right? It is going to bring together industry, academia means research and developmental institutions, right, and government together. It is going to bring, this particular body is going to bring the industry, the academic institutions and government together for promoting research and development in India. And this body, how the funding for this particular body will come. The funding for this particular body, as per the bill, they have mentioned that this bill envisages to fund rupees 50,000 crore, okay, 50,000 crore over the next 5 years, okay, in next 5 years, the government of India wants to spend 50,000 crore rupees for funding this particular body. Out of this, rupees 14,000 crore rupees, okay, 14,000 crore will come from the government, okay, will come from the government side, and rupees 36,000 crore for this particular body, the government wants to get it from the industry, right, from the industry or from the private sector. How the industry is going to, let's say, fund this particular project? Through CSR activity. What is CSR? CSR is known as corporate social responsibility. So we do have Companies Act. We have a Companies Act 2013 that mandates certain profit making companies, certain profit making entities, whether they are from the let's say private sector or they are from the public sector. Those profit making companies have a mandate of, let's say, spending 1% or 2% of their net profit into corporate social responsibility thing. So government of India wants to leverage fund from here, and they want to invest into this National Research Foundation bill. And this National Research Foundation, once it is established, it is going to foster research and development in the country. So the author over here mentioned about procurement. For example, if these research and developmental institutions that include CSIR, okay, Center for Science and Industrial Research, like that, okay, there is a body CSIR. It has multiple branches across India, and this CSIR body, what they do research and development in various sectors. And one of the norm for let's say procuring material is through government e-marketplace. So government e-marketplace is a kind of portal. It's a kind of portal, right? And through this portal, what happens, there are some sellers that are listed in this portal, okay, there are sellers who are listed in this portal, and there are buyers in this portal, right? There are buyers. Generally the buyer is the government, okay. Sellers are let's say private sector, small, medium enterprises, right? So this government e-marketplace has been established by the government, so that for various projects the government should be procuring these materials, should be purchasing these materials through this government e-marketplace portal, where the sellers are small and medium enterprises, and the government has a mandate of purchasing the things at a very lower cost, right, from the Indian sellers only. So these research and development scientists who are working with CSIR and other similar institutions, they think if they procure the things from the government e-marketplace, they will be buying the substandard products, okay, they will be buying substandard products. Substandard means low quality product. Why? Because the sellers who are listed in government e-marketplace, they bid for selling at lower cost. If they bid for selling at lower cost, they procure the things at a lower cost, right? So this compromises the quality, this compromises the standard of the product. So these CSIR scientists, what they are saying, that one of the most let's say toughest experiment for these scientists is in procurement of these materials from the government e-marketplace. Because for doing cutting edge science and technology related research, they need good quality, let's say, inputs, they need good quality products, and most of these products they can, let's say, they can procure it from outside India, and this government e-marketplace has a mandate that they should procure it from within the country. So that's creating dilemma among the scientists, and they are saying the toughest part is not in doing the research and development, but in procuring the best material from the government e-marketplace. Because the government of India has established this particular thing in the year of 2017, and till 2019 these research and developmental institutions were given a free hand to procure it from anyone. Anyone means the sellers may be from outside India or from within India. However, from 2019 onward, the government has mandated that they should procure it from the portal itself. and in case it is not available locally, in case it is not available from within the country, what they have to do, they have to procure it from outside. And like for procurement, the departmental related secretaries, the secretaries of various departments, they are the officers who can pass, let's say, a bill to pass a thing to be procured from outside India. So the author is criticizing here this particular policy of the government of India in procurement of the, let's say, good scientific equipments from the government e-marketplace. Okay, so this is all about this article. If you read it, you will understand about the crux. This is basically a kind of criticism of the quality of material that is available through government e-marketplace, okay, for cutting edge research and developmental activities. Apart from this, like, we have another topic. This topic is also very important. It says FM urges Japanese investors to expedite investment back AI renewable energy. Okay, FM here for short stands for finance minister. Okay, finance minister. So the finance minister of India is Miss Nirmala Sitharaman. Okay, so Miss Nirmala Sitharaman was speaking at a conclave where the Japanese, right, counterpart was also present, means like Japanese foreign minister was also present. So in that meeting, Nirmala Sitharaman has acknowledged that the investors of Japan, people who are from Japan who are investors, they are prudent investors. Prudent means they are prudent investors. What do we mean by prudent? Prudent means practical, thoughtful people, right? So the investors from Japan, they are prudent. It was said by Miss Nirmala Sitharaman. She has also mentioned that Japanese people had been investing in India over the last 50 to 60 years. From last 50 to 60 years, all the investments that the Japanese people have made, they have generated profit out of their investment. And in none of the case, they have faced any hurdles from India. None of the partner institutions in India have, let's say, stopped repaying the loans that they have borrowed. And Japanese investors have largely invested in infrastructural projects like building metro route, or building let's say high speed trains, building airports, building road and infrastructure. So Japanese people have been instrumental in investing many developmental projects in India. So Miss Nirmala Sitharaman said that over the past 50 to 60 years, all those investors from Japan who have invested in, let's say, various kind of projects in India, they have been benefiting. They have benefited from their investments. So that's why she makes a pitch that these Japanese investors should focus on investing more in India, in those sectors that are sunrise sectors, those sectors that are growing in nature, those sectors that are emerging. Which are those sectors? They are, let's say, investment in artificial intelligence, investment in renewable energy, investment in biotechnology related field, investment in certain, let's say, newer areas of development. So she has said an investment in, let's say, chip making industry. You might be knowing recently the Prime Minister of India has attended a semicon conclave in Gujarat. There he has mentioned that India is going to grow as a chip making industry, right, across the world. We will become one of the best chip making industry in the world. And he has also pitched many big companies who are making chips. Chips means like semiconductor chips that are used in mobile phones, in laptops, in other electronic equipment. So we were lacking those industry setups in India. So government of India is pushing forward for making India as a hub of manufacturing for electronic goods, for manufacturing of electronic chips or semiconductor chips in India. So this is the thing, this is a topic that's related to science, let's say science and technology, then environment and ecology, and it's also related to environment, economy, because here they're largely talking about investment in various sectors. Okay, investment can be considered as part of economy. right? But since it is going to happen in various sectors like science and artificial intelligence, this is related to science and technology as well, right? Then we have another topic. This topic is also very important. Why? Because recently one of the country in Africa, it is known as Niger, okay? One of the countries Africa in Niger. So there we have seen a coup. What do we mean by coup? Okay, although it is written as C-O-U-P, coup, but like we pronounce it as coup. Okay, P is silent over here. Coup means, let's say like there is a country. I will be taking Niger as an example. So I'll just quickly draw the map of Africa. Okay, let's say, okay, so this is not a proper map of Africa. Let's say this is the map of Africa. So here in the northern hemisphere, right, in the northern hemisphere there is a country, the underlined country over here, this is Niger. So what has happened in Niger? In Niger there was a president who was elected president, but Niger had internal security problem. There were many groups, right, that were, let's say, competing with one another to acquire power. So in that particular struggle, what has happened, the army, the military chief of Niger, okay, what he has done, he has detained the president of Niger. He has detained the elected president of Niger, and after detaining him, right, after detaining him, the, let's say, military leader of Niger has announced that now he is going to run the country. Now he will be the president of the country. So this particular, let's say, military coup in Niger, right, is a development in international relations. And these military coups are not new, because, you know, a few years back, 1 or 2 years back, we have seen a similar military coup in Myanmar, right? Myanmar was, let's say, ruled by a civilian government led by Aung party, you know, of Aung San Suu Kyi. But however, like that, this country has also seen a similar military coup. Now it is Niger, right? And Niger is not the only country in Africa. There are few other countries also neighboring Africa that have seen coup in the past, military coup in the past. So recently this military coup has toppled the government which was established by civilian authorities, right? And the military ruler, like the military person, he has, let's say, like, you know, overtaken the power or authority in Niger. However, the name of this particular army general is Abdul Rahman Tayani. Okay, he was the head of presidential guard since 2011, and he has, let's say, overtaken the power in Niger. And this particular incident is being criticized by many countries across the world. France was, let's say, a former colonizer of Niger, right? And France government, the president of France has also criticized this particular step, and he has said that the military coup, I mean, like, you know, this particular army general should give up his power and restore peace in Niger by bringing back the civilian government, or bringing back the civilian president of the country into power. And recently the African Union has also mandated, demanded the Niger's military to return to their barracks and restore constitutional authority within 15 days. And European Union has also come forward to criticize this particular, incident in Niger heavily. I mean, like, they are also criticizing. So people are demanding, people are condemning, okay, people are demanding that, like, you know, peace should be restored in Niger by bringing back the civilian government, right, over there, and releasing the detained president in Niger. So this is let's say, article related to international relations. Okay, I hope you might have understood. So with this, we will move to another topic quickly. It says, in Bengal village, shrimp farms thrive on mangrove litter. Okay, So you might be knowing that mangrove is a kind of mangrove is a kind of ecosystem. Okay, it provides a kind of ecosystem that is we do have Ramsar Convention, right, on wetlands. So mangroves are considered as wetlands, and we need to protect the wetlands. And people in this particular village, in Bengal village, they are doing shrimp farming, right, on mangrove litter. Okay, so shrimp farming means a kind of fishing activity that they are doing. Okay, so they are doing fishing farming over there. And in this article they have mentioned many scientific names of different kind of fish. Okay, so you need to go through this article to understand about these shrimp farming activities and all, right? So this is just a science and tech related topic, however it is also important, right, under environment and ecology section, right? So you need to read about Ramsar Convention also related to this. Okay, so we have another topic. This topic is very important because here we are going to understand about human challenge studies, right? What we are going to understand? We are going to understand about human challenge studies, and this article is very, very important. Okay. So in this article we are going to talk about ICMR bioethics unit. We will understand about this consensus policy that was released by ICMR bioethics unit. We are going to discuss about controlled human infection in studies and all. So let's discuss about this. This topic is very important, so I'll be writing also for you. Topic: are human challenge studies effective? Are human challenge studies effective? Let's discuss about this topic. So here we are going to talk about a body which is known as Indian Council of Medical Research. They have a unit which is known as ICMR bioethics unit. Okay, Indian Council of Medical Research, they have a unit, ICMR bioethics unit, and what they have done, they have recently released a consensus policy. Okay, consensus policy. So what is this consensus policy? Basically ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, wants to promote human challenge studies in India. We will talk about what do we mean by human challenge study, and now we are going to discuss about this consensus policy. So consensus policy is related to human challenge studies. So like people will be infected with certain kind of disease or pathogens to study about the nature of the disease, how a person responds to different kinds of pathogens that are, let's say, that are introduced in a human body, right? This is done to see the efficacy of the medicines that will be used for treatment. Okay, these medicines are known as they are known as drug subjects. Okay, they are drug subjects. So they are going to understand about the efficacy of these drug subjects. Okay, they are going to understand efficacy of these drug subjects through this human challenge study. Also they are going to see how the disease, how the disease or let's say infection, right, how the infection is being controlled, or how a person is responding to the disease or infection, right, or the pathogens that are introduced into the human body, right, through human challenge studies. So this consensus policy talks about there will be certain many volunteers. Okay, there will be many volunteers. Volunteers means these will be human beings. Okay, human beings who will be ready, these human beings will be ready to take up certain kind of pathogens or certain kind of, let's say, this infectious agents into their body. Why? Because they will be provided money. Okay, these volunteers will be given money for participating into the human challenge study. And what will be the objective of conducting human challenge study? The objective of conducting human challenge study is to understand the efficacy of the drugs, is to understand about, let's say, how the virus strain changes over time in the human body, right? So because of this, ICMR bioethics unit, let's say, it has released the consensus policy. Consensus means a person who is willing to volunteer, right? You know, he has to sign a document, right, which will be given by the medical practitioners. So like, you know, he has to give his consensus for, let's say, participating in the human challenge, right? So this is related to that. And here we are going to discuss about one very important concept, like, you know, related to medical science. It is known as controlled human infection studies. Okay, this is this particular thing is known as controlled human challenge studies. Okay, controlled human infection studies. Controlled human infection studies. So what is this? Is India doing it for the first time? Yes, India is doing the controlled human infection studies for the first time. So far, the government of India has never approved any kind of controlled human infection studies in India. However, this controlled human infection studies have been conducted in many countries across the world for a long time. There have been, let's say, like instances of conducting the controlled human infection studies. For example, in the case of yellow fever, right? In the case of yellow fever, so in around 1900, right, you know, it's been about a year that yellow fever, like, to understand how the yellow fever happens, which is like, you know, what is the reason for yellow fever, people have conducted this human controlled human infection studies in around 100 years back. And there they have been able to identify that this yellow fever is caused by mosquito. Okay, it is caused by mosquito. Okay, so this controlled human infection studies is also known as human challenge studies, and this is done for those disease, okay, which are less severe. Okay, disease which are less severe, or they are less deadly. Okay, they are less deadly, because here the pathogens will be introduced to a human being directly, and these include, let's say, diseases such as influenza, dengue. Okay, these include diseases such as influenza, dengue. Then we have, let's say, typhoid, cholera, malaria. Okay, typhoid, cholera, malaria, etc. Okay, so these are less severe or less dangerous diseases. For these, they conduct, I mean, like, across the world, people conduct human challenge studies. And for COVID-19 also, recently, let's say, like, you know, similar kind of trial has been conducted across the world, and we do have something which is known as stage 3 clinical trials. Okay, stage 3 clinical trials. What do we mean by stage 3 clinical trials? Basically, like, let's say, like, you know, people develop certain kind of medicine or drug for the treatment of some disease or some infectious agent, and for that, like, you know, in the lab they do certain kind of experiments, and after those experiments are passed, after some time, they conduct this study on animal subjects, like on rat, like and on other animals. And once, let's say, it passes through the animal subject, then human trial is done, right? And recently, this Indian Council of Medical Research, it has started a program of doing controlled human infection studies for 400 people. Okay, on 400, let's say, people across the country. So this is the thing. And stage 3 clinical trial, it is a kind of conventional thing. Okay, it is a kind of conventional trial. It is a conventional trial, and this is being followed in India. This is, let's say, in practice in India, but controlled human infection studies are not in practice, and for that they have released a policy document, and they have talked about consensus policy related to it. Okay, there are some difference between these conventional clinical trials and controlled human infection studies or human challenge studies. Okay, there are basic difference between the two, and in this article they have mentioned about all these differences, right? All these differences between the two. What are the basic differences? On one side, let's say, like, we have conventional clinical trials. On one side we have conventional clinical trials. On the other hand, we have human challenge studies. Okay, human, in short it is known as human challenge studies. Human challenge studies, which is also known as controlled human infection studies. Okay, controlled human infection studies, this is also known as. So what are the basic difference between the two? The author has talked about three basic difference. One of the differences, it says the fundamental difference between the two scientific methods is the nature of exposure to pathogens by participant. While participating in traditional clinical trials are strongly advised to adopt and adhere to safety measures to avoid getting infected, and infection is left to the chance. Okay, so here, let's say, like, doctors, what they do, they give let's say strong advice for safety measures. Okay, safety measures, so that there is no pathogen. Okay, so that no pathogen exposure happens. No pathogen exposure happens, and the pathogen exposure may happen, let's say, accidentally, by chance, in case of conventional or traditional clinical trial. However, in case of human challenge studies, what happens? In case of human challenge studies, the volunteers in human challenge study, as the name indicates, are deliberately exposed to disease causing pathogens. Okay, so here people are deliberately exposed. Okay, they are directly exposed to disease causing. Okay, disease causing pathogens. So this is one basic difference between this. Okay, one basic difference between this. The other basic difference is that traditional clinical trials are undertaken to study the safety and efficacy of drugs and vaccines. Okay, this is conducted to see the safety and efficacy. Okay, it is conducted to see safety and efficacy. Okay, efficacy of drugs and vaccines. Okay, of drugs and vaccines. However, if we talk about human challenge studies or controlled human infection studies, this is done. Okay, human challenge studies are carried out to understand the various facets of infection and disease pathogenesis besides selecting the best candidate for drug. Okay, here what they do, they want to understand about infection and disease. Okay, they want to understand about infection also and disease pathogenesis. Okay, disease, like how the disease happens. Okay, how the disease happens. So to understand this particular thing, and also for checking the best candidate of drug, or like, for checking safety and efficacy. Safety and efficacy. So the this controlled human infection studies have a broader objective as compared to the let's say traditional clinical trials. Okay, as compared to traditional clinical trials, they do have a broader mandate. Apart from this, there is a third difference also, is that the adverse effect of the candidate drug or vaccine are not known in both these studies, right? Volunteers in human challenge trial face an additional risk when deliberately exposed to pathogens. Okay, in both the cases, it is not known like how much harm it can do to a human being, but in this case, in human challenge studies, the person is exposed to pathogens directly. Okay, so this exposure to pathogens is directly done in this case. So this is the basic difference. So what makes human challenge studies ethically more challenging? Okay, it is more ethically challenging because like we are exposing human beings directly to certain disease causing pathogens. This is done for, let's say, understanding the nature of a disease, for understanding the nature of infection, right, for understanding the kind of drug that will be needed to treat that particular thing. So this is this has been in news from past few days, and today, let's say, like in the editorial section, they have mentioned in detail why this topic is in news. It is in news because the Indian Council of Medical Research has released a consensus policy document, and this has been released and open for public, let's say, inputs. So like they have released it for about a month to take, let's say, suggestions from the public at large. Now we have another topic. This topic is also very, very important. Here this topic is related to tuberculosis. Okay, what? Tuberculosis. So we do have various types of, let's say, one is known as multi-drug resistance, MDR-TB. Other is known as extremely drug resistance, XDR-TB. Okay, XDR-TB. So this topic is talking about tuberculosis, and recently, right, one of the thing, bedaquiline, right? So one of the drug which is known as bedaquiline was in news because like this bedaquiline was being produced by Johnson's and Johnson's, and its patent rights have expired. Okay, patents right have expired after 20 years. So they have released this particular medicine like for the first time in 2000 and in the year of 2002, but in 18th of August on 18th of July 2022 this has expired. And one of the company or like, let's say, not for profit organization, which is also known as Doctors Without Borders, right? They have, let's say, talked to United States of America, and they have asked this Johnson and Johnson not to apply for, let's say, secondary patent on this particular drug. Although they have already applied for secondary patent of this drug in many other countries, right? They have applied for secondary patent in many other countries, and they have received also approval. But here in India, it was not given an approval. And this topic, in this topic, they have talked about a new regimen, which is known as BPaL regimen trial. Okay, what is BPaL? BPaL stands for 3 different drugs. Okay, BPaL. So I'm going to write about it. So in this topic, we are going to understand about tuberculosis. I'm just writing about TB, and here they have discussed about BPaL regime. Okay, BPaL regimen. So what do we mean by this BPaL regimen? Just a minute. BPaL stands for bedaquiline. Like there are 3 let's say similar medicines. Okay, BPaL stands for bedaquiline, pretomanid and linezolid. Okay, so BPaL means bedaquiline. Bedaquiline is one of the drug. Second drug is known as pretomanid. Okay, this is Preto. And the third is known as this linezolid. 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 Okay, so these are the 3 drugs. Okay, so these 3 drugs are being used, right, for treatment of XDR. Okay, XDR means extensive drug resistant tuberculosis. Okay, XDR TB, because normal TB can be, let's say, cured. Normal TB can be cured by giving medicines, but like if we talk about treatment of TB is very costly. One thing is like treatment of TB is very costly, and there are various methods. One of the method is this BPaL regime, and under this BPaL regime around 500 tablets are given. Okay, 500 tablets are given to patients over a period of 6 weeks. Okay, over a period of 6 weeks. And so this particular thing has showcased, like whenever, like, you know, people are giving this BPaL regimen, so they are giving one of these 3 drugs to the patients, and it is, one thing is cost effective, and at the same time it has more efficacy, in treatment of TB, in treatment of tuberculosis. Okay, it has more efficacy in treatment of TB. However, in this article they have talked about, let's say, the traditional methods also, like, you know, what is the conventional method. In conventional method, like, you know, in case of conventional method, a patient is given huge number of tablets. They are given around, in all, 4,300 tablets over a period of 18 months. Okay, over a period of 18 months, the patients are given 4,300 tablets. One thing is, like, a patient has to take 8 to 9 tablets per day. Okay, 8 to 9 tablets per day for a period of 18 months. And if I talk about the treatment, let's say, like, you know, the success rate, it is 60 to 65% success rate, or let's say, like, you know, patients get cured like when they take strict, they follow strict timelines for taking the medicines. And in this case, like, you know, in BPaL regimen for treatment of this, they have seen like more than 85%, okay, more than 85% efficacy, right, efficacy for treatment of TB. So in this article, they have compared that, like, you know, TB over 85% cure rate seen in modified BPaL regimen trial. So a trial was conducted for treatment of tuberculosis, and one type of tuberculosis treatment includes just using 3 drugs. They are bedaquiline, then pretomanid and linezolid, right? So it showcased, a trial was conducted and it showcased that, like, you know, more than 85% cure rate is there. It is cost effective, it requires lesser amount of time, it also requires lesser number of tablets for the patient. Okay, so this kind of TB treatment is all oral. All oral means only oral medicine is given. However, if we talk about the conventional method of treatment of tuberculosis, the patients have to, in all, let's say, take around 4,300 tablets over a period of 18 months, longer duration of treatment, more number of tablets every day, right? And also the cure rate is 60 to 65%. So they have just compared these two things in this particular topic. So I hope you might have understood this thing well. You can read this, like, if you just go through information that is given in the boxes, you will be able to understand it, let's say, better. Okay. So with this, we will move to another topic now. So we are covering the Hindu newspaper of Sunday, and every Sunday the Hindu comes up with lot of science and technology topics. So this is also related to science and technology. It says threat of dengue fever escalates globally. Okay. So here, threat of dengue fever escalates globally. In our office also, some people have been infected by dengue and they have recovered also. So the article that has been written over here, they have, like, you know, they have written in-depth article. They have talked about the prevalence of dengue across the world in many parts, right? So dengue is caused by a kind of mosquito. Okay, so here, like, you know, in this article we will discuss about the topic that we are discussing. It's related to, like, threat of dengue fever escalates globally. So I'm going to write the entire topic. So when we talk about dengue, right, or dengue, some people say it to be dengue. So dengue is caused by, like, you know, a variant of mosquito. It is caused by a variant of mosquito, and these mosquito are part of a family of mosquito that they are known as Flaviviridae. Okay, Flaviviridae. Okay, Flaviviridae mosquito. So this Flaviviridae mosquito, I mean, like, you know, they cause dengue fever. Okay, they cause dengue fever, or it is caused by dengue virus. Okay, this dengue fever is caused by dengue virus, which is in short known as DNV. Okay, so DENV, dengue virus. So now if I talk about current, like, you know, what is the nature of dengue virus? So dengue is a RNA virus. Okay, it is a RNA virus. You might be knowing the difference between DNA and RNA. DNA has double helical structure, RNA has a single helical structure. So, like, you know, in our science and technology lecture, we discuss in detail about the differences between DNA and RNA. So dengue virus is a RNA virus. This is a very, very important information for the prelims exam. Many a times they directly ask about it. Okay, it is a let's say RNA virus, and over 400 million people each year. So the World Health Organization has recently talked about that more than 400 million people are infected by dengue virus every year. And recently they have identified that South America has seen dengue outbreak in many countries there. One of the countries is Brazil, right? In Brazil, then they have seen this thing in Peru, then they have seen it in Bolivia, right? Then they have seen it in Venezuela, right? And they have seen it in, let's say, Uruguay and in Paraguay. So these are the countries where there was an outbreak of dengue virus. And this dengue virus, I mean, like, how it increases, it is a vector borne disease. It's a kind of vector borne disease where, like, you know, mosquito prevalence, let's say, like, you know, the number of population of mosquito increases with increasing temperature, because with increasing temperature more let's say, like, you know, there is more likelihood of these like, you know, mosquitoes of getting habitable environment. And that's why various governments, let's say, like, you know, in Delhi also, the Delhi government also runs a program, right? Delhi government runs a program where campaign is done by the chief minister himself, you know, that you do not leave any unattended water for long in the, let's say, rooftop and all, because it will lead to let's say, emergence of dengue virus over there. Okay, so this topic is a very good topic, and they have talked about various regions across the world where, like, you know, outbreak of dengue has happened. So related to the treatment of dengue, there have been many things that are taken care, and in this article they have, you know, discussed about one vaccine, right, which is released by this Takeda. It has released the first vaccine for the disease. Okay, Takeda is a kind of organization. Okay, they have released Takeda. Okay, it has released a vaccine, right? This is one of the first vaccine for the treatment of dengue. For the treatment of dengue. Okay, Takeda. So it is mentioned in this article itself. In your free time, you can go through it. Then we have some short topics, right? These short topics are important for the prelims exam. So we are going to discuss all these short topics. They are related to science and technology, because it was there in science and tech page, which is page number 13 of the Hindu. So one of the article, it says mRNA nanoparticles reprogram bone marrow cells. Okay, they reprogram bone marrow cells. So you might be knowing that in human body, right, if I talk about the spinal cord, right, in a spinal cord, like, you know, inside the spinal cord we do have bone marrow from where the these blood cells are generated. For example, the RBCs, WBCs, they are generated from the bone marrow, and there can be some diseases also that affect, let's say, like the growth or generation of blood cells in the body. And so some of the, let's say, blood cancer happens, they are inherited also from parent to the child. And for treatment of this thing, like the scientists have come up with mRNA nanoparticles. What do we mean by mRNA? mRNA stands for messenger RNA. Okay, it stands for messenger. mRNA stands for messenger RNA. So messenger RNA, let's say, like carries information for let's say generation of certain kind of proteins, okay, that will lead to, let's say, production of blood cells in the in the body. So it says this article is related to this mRNA nanoparticles reprogram bone marrow cells. I mean, we can reprogram bone marrow cells so that, this bone marrow related disease or cancer or blood cancer can be prevented or blood cancer can be cured, right? It says bone marrow transplantation can treat blood cell malignancies, but finding appropriate donor bone marrow cell is a challenge. So recently researchers delivered mRNA directly into the bone marrow stem cells to edit genetic defects and reproduce and repopulate the bone marrow with the healthy bone cells. Okay, so this information was published in Science. I mean, Science was is a kind of, let's say, journal, okay, scientific journal. So it can be used to deplete the bone marrow of hematopoietic stem cells. The technique was demonstrated in the bone marrow of living mice and in human hematopoietic stem cells taken from 4 patients. Okay, so now we need to understand about stem cells. So stem cells can convert into various types of cells. I mean, stem cells are, let's say, there can be young stem cell, adult stem cell. Young stem cell can generate into different types of cells. For example, it can convert into red blood cell, it can convert into white blood cells. The stem cells, I mean, can convert into, let's say, liver cells. So it can convert into different types of cells. Okay, they are known as stem cells. So this topic is related to science and technology. And apart from this, there is another topic which it says cracking in the hydrogel shatter classical fracture speed limit. Now we need to understand about, let's say, there is a material. Let's say, I made a rod, this particular rod. On this rod, right, if I apply force on both the direction, okay, if I apply force in this direction, if I apply force in this direction, what I'm doing, I'm stretching this particular rod. Okay, I'm doing stretching. Okay, this particular force which acts in opposite direction, this is known as tensile force. Okay, tensile. Okay, we are applying tensile tension or force, right? We are trying to pull it apart. So what it will do, if the force that we are applying is sufficient enough, right? If the force that we are applying is sufficient enough to rupture or to bring some kind of let's say cracking into this particular structure, so it is going to crack. So the thing is, earlier it was considered that the cracking that happens in different materials, it happens at a speed of less than the speed of air or a speed of sound in the air, right? However, the scientists have recently conducted a study and they have been able to identify that cracking that happens in hydrogel, they break the boundary of speed limit of sound. They happen at a very faster pace, and it is going to help the scientists to understand about, let's say, physical properties of materials, how the cracking happens and how rejoins are developed. Because recently there was another article that talked about that some cracks happen and these cracks automatically get let's say compensated, or after some time these cracks, let's say heal itself, right? So through this article they want to talk about the dynamics, understanding this particular thing will understand how the rupture happens in the structures because of earthquake. Okay, because of earthquake. So this is another topic. Then we have another topic which is H5N1. Okay, it strikes more fur farms and mammals in Europe. Okay, so this is known as bird flu, H5N1. So in the Europe, like they have in Norway and Germany reported the detection of H5N1 virus in mammals. Okay, so this is just an update related to this topic. So that's all for today's discussion in the Hindu newspaper. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining the online discussion today. Tomorrow we are going to cover, let's say today's the Hindu newspaper discussion, and also we are going to take the Hindu newspaper discussion of tomorrow. So tomorrow we will be, let's say, again back in pace. Thank you so much.